Hello there you guys, welcome to another one of my live videos, and today I'm just going to be officially updating you on some more current and latest news. So big breaking news now is coming out of the media in relation to Ander Herrera. According to reports, reportedly Ander Herrera is set to leave Manchester United reportedly for PSG on a free transfer this summer, after reportedly Ander Herrera has agreed a deal to join Paris Saint-Germain on a free at the end of the season reportedly as well. I think it is a 3-year deal worth around £200,000 per week reportedly. But a lot of rumours and reports have been talking about today, of course, as well. A lot of the rumours have stemmed from Duncan Castles, of course, as well. But the reason for this is, of course, this is very disappointing, from Manchester United perspective, of course, as well, because we do know how much of Ander Herrera's performances have improved, since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has come in. He's been playing more in the team. He's been fitting that midfield trio very well, as we all know as well. He's good at breaking the plays. He's tenacious, he's Ander Herrera, and he's got a lot of passion, as Ander Herrera, of course, as well. So this is very disappointing, indeed, to be quite honest with you. So it's a 3-year deal, is reportedly agreed. It's around £200,000 a week, reportedly, as well. So reportedly, PSG have agreed, Ander Herrera has agreed to join PSG at the end of the season on a free, of course, as well. A lot of Manchester United fans will think that this is potentially, a waste of 30 million, of course, because obviously he's been at the club, 5 seasons now as Ander Herrera. He's made 187 appearances in all competitions, of course, as well as Ander Herrera. So he has been here for 5 seasons now, of course, as well. So this is a huge disappointment, indeed. But the reason this has happened because Manchester United, have been negotiations, with Ander Herrera, to try and convince him, to sign a new contract with Manchester United. But reports were coming out yesterday in the media actually saying that reportedly Ander Herrera was demanding a wage increase, and he was demanding wages of around £200,000 a week. But reportedly Manchester United, were not reportedly set to meet his current wage demands reported. So this potentially now, Ander Herrera has confirmed that he's unimpressed with Manchester United's offer of a new long-term deal. So reportedly he has made a decision, and he's intending on going to PSG on a free this summer, of course, as well. So potentially Solskjaer obviously, has identified, the key areas where he thinks Manchester United need to strengthen up. Obviously we need a centre-back, we need a right-back. Now we need some depth in that midfield, that Ander Herrera's on his way out. We need a right winger to come in, of course, as well. But PSG now have reportedly gone, because from PSG's perspective, obviously they're looking to add new additions into their midfield, of course, because obviously it's looking like that Adrien Rabiot's set to leave PSG at the end of the season, of course, because obviously he's refused to sign a new contract with PSG, and obviously Adrien Rabiot spent the majority of his career with PSG, of course, as well. But obviously Thomas Tuchel is heading into his second season, of course, with Paris Saint-Germain, and obviously he's looking for new additions into his midfield and looking for someone, to partner alongside Marco Verratti. So obviously they've identified Ander Herrera as a good replacement for Adrien Rabiot, of course, as well. But this is very disappointing, because we do know that there's better footballers out there, than Ander Herrera, of course, as well. But this is really bad news, because now he's set to leave on a free transfer this summer, reportedly, as well. Ander Herrera, this is his 5th season, as we all know, at Manchester United, of course, as well. But as I did currently say, there's been a lot of reports, today coming out from Duncan Castles that Ander Herrera has agreed a deal to join PSG on a free at the end of the season, and he's going to be receiving around £200,000 a week, reportedly. And I think Ander Herrera, of course, is 29 years of age now, of course, as well. But he's been very consistent under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and obviously under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, won't want to see, Ander Herrera leave, of course, because he breaks up the play well. And we've got a lot of elite level, we've got a lot of good, elite level, players, of course, as well. And Ander Herrera, of course, is one of them. I think he's worth around £200,000 a week. I think he's currently on I think he was currently on around £130,000 a week. So I think he was demanding about a 70,000, wage increase, if he was to commit to a new long-term deal with Manchester United, of course, as well. But reports are coming out about it, the other week, to be quite honest with you, saying that PSG had expressed an interest. It did say they were willing to offer him a 3-year deal worth around £150,000 a week, of course, as well. And at that point, some reports saying he was close to joining PSG. Some reports were still saying that he wanted to stay at Manchester United. He wanted to sign a new contract extension with Manchester United. He did admit PSG's interest, were logical, and this is what, basically Ander Herrera had currently said as well. But obviously, Fellaini, left back in January, of course, as well. So I think potentially we need some depth in that midfield, and we don't know what's happening with Paul Pogba, of course, as well. So a lot of reports have come out about it today. A lot of rumours extend from Duncan Castles that reportedly Ander Herrera is set to leave Manchester United on a free transfer this summer and join PSG. And reportedly, Ander Herrera has agreed it, of course, as well. And he's been at Manchester United, 5 years, and he's been a very, very consistent player. I know during his tenure at Manchester United, he has had some rough patches. He wasn't getting that game time. When of course, when Jose Mourinho, of course, he wasn't getting that game time, of course, as well. But since Solskjaer's coming, he's been a very, very good player. He's been fitting in that midfield trio very, very well. He tackles very, very well. He's a good ball playing midfielder. His passing's really, really improved as well. So we do know that he's going to be a big miss, is Ander Herrera. So it's very, very essential that we can get a replacement for Ander Herrera. But I think he's worth £200,000 a week without a shadow of a doubt. Because he's a really, really good player. I think the wages that Smalling gets are wrong, in my opinion. Chris Smalling, he shouldn't be on the wages he's on. Sanchez should definitely not be on the wages he's currently on. Jones should not be on the current wages he's on, of course, as well. But Ander Herrera is 29 years of age, of course, as well. So potentially this is disappointing because we paid £30 million for him from Atletico Bilbao, back in 2014, of course, as well. And we're letting him go on a free transfer in the summer, of course, as well. The reason Manchester United haven't come to an agreement to get him a new contract is because obviously Herrera was demanding wages of around £200,000 a week. Manchester United were not willing to meet, what he was currently demanding, of course, as well. So that's very, very disappointing, from Manchester United perspective, of course, as well, because we know mainly he's been first choice under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. He's been fitting in that midfield trio very, very well. He breaks up the play very, very well. Some people say his defensive capabilities aren't that good, but I think he's really, really done well under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, of course, as well. And obviously Thomas Tuchel's planning for the investment anywhere. This is his first season. He's nearly now heading into his second season with PSG, of course, as well. It also said that Arsenal were also interested in Ander Herrera, of course, as well. But potentially now PSG have got him on a free transfer at the end of this season because reportedly Ander Herrera has agreed this, of course, as well. So I'm very, very disappointed, with this, to be quite honest with you, as well, guys. I'm really, really disappointed about this, to be quite honest with you guys, as well. But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer did basically say, he wants about 3 or 4 players in the summer. We do know that other players are going to leave Manchester United. We know Valencia's on his way out of the club. We know Darmian's probably going to be leaving in the summer. We know Sanchez is probably going to be leaving in the summer as well. We're not sure what's happening there with Paul Pogba, of course, as well, in my opinion. I don't even know if Fred is a long-term solution as well, for Manchester United, of course, as well. So potentially we want Champions League football for next season. So in that aspect, it makes us have more of a competitive summer chance, more of a competitive summer window. Of course, we're getting around over £200 million to spend this summer, of course. But of course, the club is still looking to hire a director of football to come in because obviously we need to change the club's structure and all that as well. But it's very, very essential that we get the right players to Manchester United this summer because Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, I think, wants about 3 or 4 players, of course, to come to Manchester United this summer. But recent reports have revealed his priority is not getting a centre back in. So I don't think he's too interested in getting a centre back in this summer. As recent reports did say, Solskjaer is focusing on attacking additions to the squad and he's focusing on other areas of the squad. But we know our priority was to get a centre back, of course, last summer, of course, as well. But this is really, really disappointing news because I really, really highly rate Ander Herrera. He's still got quite a few years ahead of him. He's 29 years of age, of course, as well. But Manchester United, should have just paid, that £200,000 a week, that he wanted, of course. So if we're willing to give him £200,000 a week, he probably would commit. He'd remain loyal to Manchester United, and he probably would have signed a new contract, of course, as well. And we don't even know what's happening with Juan Mata. He's another player, he's 30 years of age, of course. Obviously, I don't think Man United are going to will to offer him a long-term contract, considering that Juan Mata, of course, is 30 years of age, of course. I haven't heard recent reports about that lately, to be quite honest, but I think, Juan Mata, could be on his way out of Manchester United, as well. We paid £40 million for him from Chelsea back in 2014. This is his 5th season now as a Manchester United player, of course, is Juan Mata. And obviously, I think if we are to give him a new contract, I think we'll be only willing to offer him a new 1-year extension or something like that as well. But Juan Mata has been essential for Manchester United over the years. This is his 5th season now at Manchester United. I think he has made over 200 odd appearances in all competitions, of course, as well. Obviously, he has won everything in English football, of course, as well as Juan Mata, apart from the Premier League, and that's the only thing Juan Mata hasn't won, of course, as well. But potentially, he's had 5 great years with Man United. He had 3 good years, when he was at Chelsea. and he's a lot younger. He used to play under Unai at Valencia, of course, as well, and he actually began his career with Real Madrid. Did Juan Mata, of course, as well. So his future is still uncertain with Manchester United. So could he potentially leave, of course, in the summer as well. But this is really, really disappointing news, about Ander Herrera, as we all currently know, guys. To be quite honest with you, it's very, very disappointing news, as we all know, because he's been one of our most consistent players, especially since Solskjaer's coming. He's done very, very well in that midfield, and he's very, very tenacious. He gallops forward very, very well indeed. So obviously now we're going to have to find a replacement for him. But I think Solskjaer's keen on bringing a new midfielder in. We need a midfielder that's fast and tenacious, because I've got strong reservations about Matic, even though, again, overall his performances have improved as a Manchester United player, Matic, since Solskjaer's coming. But as I did say, since he's recovered from injury, he hasn't been playing to his potential best. Of course, Nemanja Matic, of course, is aging up as well. So that's one of the areas, of course, where Manchester United, of course, do need to strengthen up, of course, as well. So potentially we do need to strengthen up in the summer, considering we didn't spend out in January. We didn't spend much last summer. We didn't get as priority targets last summer, of course, as well. So it is very, very essential indeed. And obviously, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer now, that he has got the job on a full-time basis, of course, as well. Obviously, it's a 3-year deal. He's signed with around 21 million. His annual wage is around 7.5 million, of course, as well. Obviously, he's expectation levels will be now in this 3 years or so, is to get Manchester United, back to that powerhouse how it was under Ferguson, get us to that commanding position, elevate us to that high level, and get us back up there challenging and winning trophies, of course, as well. So that will be Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, expectation levels, of course, as well. But we do know players are going to leave Manchester United in the summer. There is still some contract renewals, as I did say, to sort out, of course, as well. But this is very, very disappointing news, about Ander Herrera, because I wanted Manchester United, to keep hold of him. He's been loyal to Manchester United for 5 seasons. He's made 187 appearances for the club in all competitions. I think 129 of them have come in the league, of course, as well. So that's potentially another player that's leaving Manchester United this summer, of course, as well. So that's a big breaking news, to update you on, of course, as well. As I've been updating you today in relation to Paul Pogba as well. And he, we know that he's heavily linked to a move to Real Madrid in the summer. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has come out today and, basically said that Paul Pogba is happy at Manchester United, of course, as well. But obviously, of what recently, Paul Pogba has been saying, about Real Madrid and that, his desire to play for them. He dreams playing for Real Madrid and all this, and he's said they're one of the biggest clubs in the world. This could have concerns for Manchester United and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, of course, as well. So I think of what he said about Real Madrid, I think he's intending on making a move to Madrid this summer, and he's not intending on spending the rest of his playing career in England, of course, Paul Pogba, of course, as well. If any offers do come for Pogba in the summer, I think Man United are going to turn them down, of course, as well. But reports have been coming out saying that his agent Raiola is in the process of finding him a new club. His agent Raiola has had a couple of conversations, with Real Madrid, of course, about Paul Pogba's desire, to swap Old Trafford for the Bernabeu, of course, as well. And I think Raiola today has also been to Manchester, to hold more talks, about Paul Pogba, of course, as well. And potentially Paul Pogba is still under contract with Manchester United till 2021, of course, well, so he's still got over 2 years left on his deal. Recent reports did say he has turned down a contract offer from Manchester United, as Paul Pogba, of course, as well. But potentially it did say Man United are willing to turn down any offers this summer. Zinedine Zidane is a big admirer of the player, of course. Zinedine Zidane likes him a lot, and Zinedine Zidane has opened the door for him to join Madrid this summer. Reports are coming out from Spain saying that reportedly, Real Madrid are willing to offer £125 million for him, of course, as well. Obviously, Manchester United paid £89 million for him, back in 2016, of course, as well, as we all clearly know. So potentially, he's our most expensive signing. He's obviously been at Manchester United, of course, now 3 years, as Paul Pogba, of course, as well. But for the time being, he did say we're happy at Manchester United, of course, as well. There's also been rumours, linking him with a possible return, back to Italy with Juventus as well, where he did have 4 good years. But obviously, as we all do currently know, guys, obviously he's been one of our most influential players. Obviously now, Solskjaer, reflected on the Watford game and all that. Now he's thinking about, changing Paul Pogba's role and putting Paul Pogba in like more of a defensive role, to be quite honest with you. So he's considering a tactical shift for Paul Pogba, of course, as well. So potentially his future still remains uncertain. So hopefully somewhere along the line, Manchester United in the process can come to an agreement, to get him a new contract term, of course, well. Zinedine Zidane's planning for investment in that Madrid squad. This is his second spell in charge of Madrid. Obviously, I think he's going to get around £300 million spending spree to spend this summer with Real Madrid, of course, is Zinedine Zidane. So potentially Paul Pogba could be on his way out of Manchester United this summer, of course, as well. But we do need a sensible quality defensive midfield. I think on the left-hand side, we're okay, you know, to be quite honest with you, because the majority of our attack is coming from that left-hand side. That majority of our attack is coming from the left-hand side, of course, as well. But for me, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, you know, definitely, you know, the right man for Manchester United, you know, without a shadow of a doubt, indeed. You know, we've had a good 3 months or so under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, of course. You know, he's been mainly getting the best out of the players. Mainly the results have been good. You know, the performances have been very, very good indeed. But we still know that investment is definitely, you know, needed into Manchester United. And obviously, the way Ed Woodward's going to look at it is a cheap alternative to Pochettino. Is a cheap alternative, you know, to Zinedine Zidane, of course, as well. And it's been a fantastic experience for him so far here, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. You know, he's working with the coach as well. You know, he's working with the players well, the staff well, and all that as well. And he's really, really enjoying it so far. He's Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. So potentially, you know, he's got to get the right players in the summer if we are to potentially, you know, put a challenge, you know, mount a title challenge, of course, next season, of course, as well. But I'm really, really disappointed, you know, about Ander Herrera leaving. Why would it have to be Ander Herrera? The reports coming out about it the other week, you know, to be quite honest with you, and I do believe what he's saying, because a lot of these rumours have come from Duncan Castle, of course, as well. And he's going to get £200,000 a week at PSG, of course, well, because that's what he was significantly demanding, you know, Manchester United to pay him. And then if Man United would have given him that £200,000 a week and we were willing to pay, he probably would have signed a new contract and stayed at Manchester United, of course, as well. But, you know, we've lost him now. We're losing him in the summer on a free transfer, of course. So we've got to be aggressive in this summer transfer window. We've got to get the right players in, of course, as well. I think Solskjaer's identified his top 3 targets, of course. Solskjaer is looking at quite a few young players. He's looked at quite a few young upcoming talents, you know, young British players, of course, as well, because we have got a host of experienced players, and they do seem to be the ones that are causing us the problems, of course, as well. But Solskjaer, the right man for Manchester United. You know, don't forget, he was a great player for 11 years. Was Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, you know, won a lot of trophies, you know, scored a lot of goals, as well. You know, did Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, as we all know, as well. We know he hasn't got a great managerial pedigree, of course. You know, he hasn't won a lot of trophies and all that, of course, as well. But if he does well in his 3 years, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, obviously then he's going to plan for a long tenure as Manchester United manager, of course, as well. So potentially the most essential thing is that we get a director of football to come in. We need to change the club structure. It's good that Solskjaer is obviously making plans for the summer. He's emphasising, you know, quite a few targets. You know, he's interested in bringing in, of course, as well. So potentially for me, Ander Herrera is worth £200,000 a week. He's been one of our most consistent players. You've got Sanchez, who's totally been inconsistent as a Manchester United player. He's on the decline. He's aging up, of course, as well. He's obviously out now with an injury at the moment. He's nowhere near worth £500,000 a week, of course, as well. So that's what I find disgraceful, to be quite honest with you. But I think Sanchez is on his way out of Manchester United in the summer, of course, as well. And Sanchez has been ineffective. You know, he's lacked goals when he has played. He's suffered quite a few injuries since he's been a Manchester United player, and he's been here just over a year, of course, as well. So I think he'll lose that number 7 shirt, and I think he's on his way out of Manchester United this summer. We know Valencia's on his way out of the club this summer because he's 33 years of age. Over the years, he has been essential and he has been a good player, but obviously he's been here 10 years now. Obviously, he's coming to an end of his deal at the end of the season, of course, so he'll be leaving on a free transfer, of course, as well. Darmian's on his way out of Manchester United as well because he's been inconsistent as a Man United player, but really he hasn't really been given a chance. I think Marcus Rojo's on his way out of Manchester United because his Manchester United career has been affected, you know, with the amount of injuries he's currently suffered as a Manchester United player as well. Bay's future's still uncertain with Man United because he's been in and out of the team this season. Chris Smalling, you know, I think Chris Smalling probably will stay, to be quite honest with you, but his future's still quite kind of uncertain. I think Phil Jones' future is uncertain as well. So, you know, players are going to definitely, you know, leave Manchester United in summer. Maybe 4, maybe 5, you know, could leave in the summer. Even maybe 6, you know, could leave in the summer, of course, as well. One good, you know, we heard good news the other day, though, in relation to Marcus Rashford, that Man United are in talks of getting him a new 5-year deal. And reportedly now, after Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's appointment, you know, obviously, you know, Marcus Rashford, you know, he's convinced Marcus Rashford, you know, to commit his long-term future in Manchester United, and he's on the verge of signing a new 5-year deal worth around £150,000 a week. This does potentially make him the 5th highest paid player, of course, at Manchester United, as we all know, as well. The 5th highest paid player at Manchester United. He is under contract until 2020. There is an option of a further year, of course, but he's risen up the youth system very, very well. He's been United players since the age of 7, and he's progressed up the ranks very, very well indeed. as Marcus Rashford, of course, well, even though he's attracted interest from Barcelona and Real Madrid, of course, as well as Marcus Rashford, as we all know, as well. So potentially he's on the verge of signing a new 5-year deal worth £150,000 a week. We've also got David De Gea as well. Obviously he hasn't committed to a new contract yet. David De Gea, I think Man United have been in talks of getting him a new £350,000 a week deal. Reports were coming out before saying that reportedly he was demanding that he wants the same amount of wages as what currently Alexis Sanchez is receiving. So I think he wanted to be the highest paid player at the club alongside Alexis Sanchez. Of course, recent reports were saying that Man United were not willing to meet what he's demanding. But now I think he wants to commit his long-term future at Manchester United. Does David De Gea? He's been here 8 years now at Manchester United. He's made over like 300 odd appearances in all competitions. Of course, as well. He's won the Smack Busby Player of the Year quite a few times. Won the Club's Player of the Year 4 out of the last 5 seasons, and he's won everything here domestically. Of course, as well. He's still in the contract here till 2020. Of course, is David De Gea as well. Obviously, Real Madrid have been long admirers of David De Gea. Of course, they were linked with him. Back in 2015. Of course, as well. So potentially, hopefully, we can come to an agreement of getting David De Gea a new contract. He has made 100 Premier League clean sheets now. As David De Gea, of course, as well. So potentially, there is still some contract renewals to sort out, as we all know, as well. But for me, Solskjaer the right man for Manchester United, of course, and hopefully we can, continue. We got back to winning ways against Watford, and hopefully we can show a better performance against Wolves tomorrow night, of course, as well. So potentially, the transfer rumours I have been updating you on, of course, as well, as we all currently know, the host, quite a few players, Manchester United are linked to. I think Solskjaer's identified, his top 3 targets, to be quite honest with you, as well. Obviously, we know one of our Solskjaer's prime targets is obviously, Crystal Palace's Aaron Wan-Bissaka, of course, as well. Reports have been coming out saying that Manchester United are preparing to put a £35 million bid in for Aaron Wan-Bissaka, reportedly, as well. I think he's valued at around £40 million. For me, he'd be a perfect successor and a great upgrade to Antonio Valencia and Ashley Young and all that as well. And potentially for me, Aaron Wan-Bissaka's obviously so far spent the entirety of his career, at Crystal Palace. He's only 21. He's only young. Of course, he's one of England's upcoming prospects as well. And obviously only broke into senior team with Crystal Palace last year in February, of course, as well. So I think players like him, I think he's got the ability to elevate Manchester United in the next 2 to 3 years, without a shadow of a doubt, indeed. But potentially Manchester United have been linked to him. I think he's rated at around £40 million. I think his defensive capabilities are supposed to be very, very good indeed. We know there's been talks about Declan Rice as well, that West Ham player, mainly a holding a defensive midfield. And again, he's young, he's only 20 years of age. We need a defensive midfield, centre defensive mid that's fast and tenacious, of course, as well. And I think Declan Rice would be the right candidate, to be quite honest, as well as a West Ham player, as we all know, as well. He's still under contract with West Ham. I think he's got a contract with West Ham, until 2024. Reportedly, his performances for West Ham have been good this season, of course, as well. So there's been talks about him, of course, as well, in the media. And obviously the club's number 1 priority target is obviously, Borussia Dortmund's Jadon Sancho, as we all know, as well. And there's been a lot of talks about Jadon Sancho, of course, as well. Manchester United, could end up, paying up to £100 million for Jadon Sancho this summer, so we could still end up paying a 9-figure sum. Manchester United, we still believe that we could land Jadon Sancho, for around £80 million reportedly, as well. But he's young, we need someone that can play between the bylines and put crosses into the box, and I think Jadon Sancho is the right solution, to be quite honest with you. He's under contract with Dortmund until 2022. If Man United come to an agreement to get him in the summer, this would obviously, make him the most expensive English footballer ever. But I think it's the club. Jadon Sancho, of course, he's a former Manchester City player. I did serve a couple of years, Jadon Sancho. But as we all do currently know, guys, Jadon Sancho's performances in Germany with Borussia Dortmund have been fantastic indeed. He just recently, turned 19 years of age, of course, as well. He's attracted interest, from quite a few teams, as Jadon Sancho, as we all know. Borussia Dortmund paid £8 million from City back in 2017, and Borussia Dortmund, have been for doing it with their players, of course, as well. But I do really, really like, Jadon Sancho, to be quite honest with you, as well. He's got a lot of years ahead of him. I think he complement our team, fantastically well, of course, as well. But we've got the financial power, to meet his valuation this summer, of course, as well. If Borussia Dortmund, do decide to sell him, but if we were willing to offer £100 million, this would probably convince, Borussia Dortmund to sanction him off. Only broke into as well. So reportedly that trio of Bissaka and Jadon Sancho could reportedly cost Man United in total of around £100 million. As you're all aware, guys, that reports have been also, coming out as well, came out yesterday in the media as well, in relation, to Crystal Palace's, Wilfred Zaha. And it did say Manchester United are linked with a shock transfer return for Crystal Palace's Wilfred Zaha. Obviously, he's an ex-Manchester United player, of course, as well. He spent 2 years as a Manchester United player, but I don't think he ever broke into the first team under Moyes or Louis van Gaal and all that, did Wilfred Zaha. Reportedly now, he's rated at around £70 million. Is Wilfred Zaha. He's in his mid-20s, of course. He can actually play as a forward. He can actually operate on both wings as well. Can Wilfred Zaha reportedly as well. So reportedly Manchester United are linked with a shock transfer return for Wilfred Zaha, of course, as well. But I think he's rated at around £70 million. Reports have been coming out if Manchester United can get in this summer. I don't think we will, but if we can get in this summer, reportedly Manchester United can get him for a reduced fee, reportedly, because some reports are indicating now saying that Man United have got a clause in Wilfred Zaha's deal, which potentially means we get 25% of the profit Crystal Palace get from selling him, of course, as well. So potentially any sale for Wilfred Zaha this summer, we get 25% profit, of course, as well. So potentially we can get him on the cheap, due to the clause, of course, as well. And obviously, Wilfred Zaha, of course, as well. Obviously, used to play under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, of course, when he was on loan at Cardiff, Wilfred Zaha, and that obviously then, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was Cardiff manager, of course, as well. So Solskjaer may be keen on reuniting with Wilfred Zaha, of course, as well. But he actually began his career with Crystal Palace, rising up the ranks, came to Manchester United. He was actually Alex Ferguson's last signing, of course, before his retirement at the end of that season, of course. Well, I think we paid about 10 million. Then he went back to Crystal Palace, but then he was actually on loan with Cardiff as well, was Wilfred Zaha, but he's under contract with Crystal Palace until 2023, of course, as well. So there has been quite a few talks going on about that as well. But if any other teams were to get him, obviously they'd have to pay the full amount of £70 million. So potentially we get a 25% profit. So potentially, we can get him for a reduced fee, of course. But his performance is Crystal Palace since he got there, since he's been there permanently in 2015. His performances have been very, very good indeed, and especially under Roy Hodgson, of course, as well. So there has been a lot of talk, being going on about that in the media, of course, as well. So Man United are linked with a host of players, to be quite honest here, as well. But the big breaking news I wanted to update you on was Ander Herrera. Reportedly, he's set to leave Manchester United and join PSG on a free transfer, reportedly this summer. After reportedly Ander Herrera has agreed a deal to join PSG on the free at the end of the season. Reportedly, I think it's a 3-year deal. It's worth around £200,000 a week, reportedly as well. So potentially, I am going to miss Ander Herrera. He's been at Manchester United 5 seasons. He's made 187 appearances for the club. His performances overall have been very consistent. We know he had a rough patch under Jose Mourinho because he really, wasn't getting the game time and all that as well. But for me, Manchester United, tried to convince him to sign a new contract. Man United were in talks of getting him a new contract, but potentially he basically said yesterday, Herrera, he wants £200,000 a week. That was his wage demands. He wanted £200,000 a week from Manchester United, of course, but reportedly Manchester United were not willing to meet what Ander Herrera was currently demanding, of course, as well. So potentially now we've refused to meet what he's demanding. It's now been revealed he's made a decision over his future. Now he wants to now go to PSG, of course, as well. So he's going elsewhere at the end of the season. Is Ander Herrera, of course, well, and it's a shame to see. To be quite honest, he's been consistent for Manchester United. Of course, he's 29, so he is aging up a bit. He's Ander Herrera, but he's been one of our most consistent players, especially in our midfield. And obviously, Solskjaer's first choice midfield trio is obviously Herrera, Matic, and Pogba. And they've looked very, very effective together. Since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has come in, of course, as well. So that's a big breaking news. Everyone would have obviously updated you on it, of course, as well. So potentially now Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is probably going to identify a replacement for Ander Herrera in our midfield, and potentially we do need depth in that midfield, of course, as well. I think we need a centre defensive midfielder that's fast and tenacious, of course. But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is in the process of rebuilding this Manchester United team, buying into our history, of course. We do know a lot of money's been spent, since Ferguson's retirement. We spent like £600-700 million in the managerial areas. We've had different managers with different philosophies, of course, as well. Now we've got Solskjaer. He's our 4th permanent manager now, since obviously, the retirement of Alex Ferguson, of course, as well. And as I did do my Wolves Manchester United preview earlier on, of course, it's going to be a big game against Wolves, and it's going to be a tough game because Wolves' record against the big teams this season has been very, very impressive indeed. Obviously, Wolves suffered a 2-0 defeat to Burnley at the weekend, but obviously Wolves haven't lost at home, since the beginning of the new year, of course, and I think that was Crystal Palace, to be quite honest with you as well. But we do know it's going to be a tough game. This is 101st meeting between Wolves and Manchester United in all competitions, of course. Well, I do think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is going to rotate the squad, for this game against Wolves, to be quite honest with you. For me, I think Ashley Young needs to be dropped, and I've been got a lot into contention. Lindelof, Solskjaer's confirmed Lindelof could return as well, because he missed the Watford game. It's okay, Martial's okay, because he sustained a knock against Watford, but Solskjaer's confirmed that Martial will be available, of course, as well, which is very, very good news. And I do believe that, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer probably will rotate that midfield, to be quite honest. So he may drop Matic, he may drop Herrera. And for me, when Manchester United did have that injury crisis, to be quite honest, when we did have that injury crisis, of course, as well, especially in the midfield, when Solskjaer gave the fringe players a chance, Pereira was very impressive, McTominay, was very, very impressive indeed. So I think one of them, at least deserve a chance against Wolves, of course, because they just proved how impressive they were, when we did have that injury crisis, of course, as well. And for me, Matic has been poor since he recovered from injury. Herrera hasn't been that good, since he's recovered from injury. But overall, he's been a very, very consistent player for Manchester United, of course, as well. But Wolves' record against the big teams this season has been good. Nuno Santo, is doing a very, very good job with Wolves, as we all know as well. But we want to win to try and keep our top 4 ambitions alive. And I do believe if we can get 15 points out of the remainder of these 7 games, we can finish in the top 3, without a shadow of a doubt, indeed. So we do know that Wolves is going to be a big game. But Martial, I think, is set to play as well. I think Lukaku could be available, of course, as well. So Lukaku may not start, but he may come on in the game or something like that as well, because Lukaku's just recovered from an ankle injury, of course, himself. So he will rotate a little bit, will Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, of course, as well in the Wolves game. But we need to see a better performance than we did at the weekend against Watford, of course, as well. So anyway, drop your comments, likes below on the channel.